What's up guys, and welcome back to the channel. So last spring I was on this charity group ride. I think it was 75 miles, and towards the end of the ride there was a dude up the road from me who I was trying to catch. I finally caught this guy at a stoplight. Took everything I had to catch him. My heart rate was probably like 180 beats. So I get to the stoplight and I start looking at this guy's bike. It appeared to be just a regular, really nice Cannondale road bike, but I start looking at the rear hub of this bike and it had like a big rear hub. I didn't think anything of it. It didn't appear to be an e-bike because every e-bike I've ever seen has like a fat down tube. So the light finally turns green and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna ride with this guy. The dude freaking takes off and I have to catch back up again, and I was doing everything I could just to hold this guy's wheel. And it was an older gentleman, looked fit enough, but didn't necessarily look like a racer. So I held the guy's wheel for a while and he wasn't actually part of the group ride. He kept going and I turned back to go towards the start of the ride. So while doing research for this video, I actually learned that the bike he was on was a Cannondale Super 6 Evo Neo, which is a really light e-bike that doesn't look like an e-bike. So it got me to thinking, what kind of gravel bikes are also using this same motor system or drive system that this guy's bike had? So what I found was 5 gravel e-bikes that don't necessarily look like e-bikes, and 4 of these e-bikes on this list actually used the hub motor. Let's check them out. The first bikes on the list come from GT, and that's the GT Grade Bolt and the GT Grade Current. When I first looked at this bike, I didn't believe it was an e-bike. The bike looks like any other gravel bike. The down tube is not fat like other e-bikes, and there is no other characteristics about the bike that scream e-bike. GT was able to pull this off by using a Mahle e-bike motion drive unit. This bike uses the X35 system. This system uses a rear hub motor that Mahle claims offers up to 40 Newton meters of natural and almost drag-free support and is powered by a 250 watt internal battery. This system makes e-bike frames almost indistinguishable from regular bikes. In the US, this bike is offered in 2 different builds. Both come as aluminum frames and 700C wheels. The Bolt uses a 2x10 GRX 400 group set and comes in at $4,250. The Current uses a 1x10 microshift drivetrain that comes in at $3,375. The next bike on the list is the 3T Exploro RaceMax Boost. Again, this is another bike which I couldn't believe was an e-bike. Like the GT, this bike also uses a Mahle system, but this bike uses the new updated Mahle X20 system. Mahle claims the X20 system provides 55 Newton meters of torque, and the new 236 watt internal battery can be complemented with a 170 watt range extender. They also claim this battery can be charged up to 80% of its full capacity in 2 hours. What's super cool about this bike is that the frame is the same frame as the standard Exploro RaceMax, but turns out you can fit a battery and motor without changing the shape of the frame. This bike is offered as 2 different drop bar build options. For $8,000, you get a SRAM Rival Explore 1x12 group set, and for $8,500, a SRAM Force Axis 1x12 group set. There is also a drop bar and flat bar option, which uses the older X35 Mahle drive system and Shimano group sets for $5,500. These bikes are a bit pricey, but all of the frames in the lineup are carbon. Next on the list is the Cannondale Topstone Neo SL. This bike also uses the Mahle X35 drive system. The MSRP on this bike comes in at $3,625, and for that price you get an aluminum frame, carbon fork, and a blend of GRX 400 and 600 2x10 group set and hydraulic disc brakes. The bike comes with 700C wheels and 42C WTB tires. There are many mounts on this bike, which makes it a great option for long rides exploring off the beaten path. Cannondale claims the bike has a range of up to 75 kilometers or 47 miles. Next on the list is the Orbea Gain D30. On paper, this bike is very similar to the Cannondale and the GT Bolt. For one, the bike uses the same Mahle X35 system and has an aluminum frame, but this bike comes with a slightly nicer group set. The Cannondale came with mostly GRX 400 parts, while this bike comes with mostly GRX 600 parts and a 1x11 drivetrain. Personally, I think the 1x drivetrain makes more sense on an electric bike. That being said, this bike does come with a $4,000 price tag, which is $375 more than the Cannondale, but $250 less than the GT. I also want to point out that compared to those two bikes, this is a better looking bike in my opinion. And last but not least on the list is the Scott Solace eRide. This is the one bike on this list that does not use a Mahle drive unit, but I added it to the list because it is also difficult to recognize this bike as an e-bike. Instead of having the motor in the rear hub, this is a mid-drive powered bike, meaning the motor of this bike is located in the crank. This bike uses a TQ HPR 50 motor. Scott claims this motor delivers an unprecedented weight to power ratio of 1.8 kilograms for 50 Newton meters of power. With a diameter of 8 centimeters, TQ has innovated by using a harmonic gear system. The result is a lighter bike with better integration while reducing backlash for a more natural pedaling sensation. Powering the motor is a 360 watt internal battery, which can be complemented with a 160 watt external range extender. This bike is a bit more pricey than the other bikes in this list, with 3 models ranging from $6,100 all the way up to $10,100. On the top end eRide 10 model, you get a carbon frame, Zip 303 Firecrest wheels, and a SRAM Force E-Tap group set. So I have never actually ridden an e-bike that has a motor in the rear hub. I've only ridden a few e-bikes that have the mid-drive motors. And everything I've heard, everything I've read is that the mid-drive motors are a bit nicer. They're a bit more refined. They give you more of a realistic pedal feel. But I think it's cool that there are now more options, more quality options out there. For example, before making this video, I thought that only e-bikes that were super cheap came with the rear hub motor. And I'm learning that this company, Mahle, yes, they're newer to the cycling game, but they make really, really quality products. They've been around for a long time, and they actually make parts for F1 cars. So that's cool because now we see these higher end brands making e-bikes that don't look like e-bikes. They're lighter and they're a little bit cheaper. And honestly, guys, if you are still anti-e-bike in 2023, get over it. E-bikes are here to stay. They have a place. To me, the most important thing about riding bikes is getting out there and having a good time riding, and e-bikes allow people to do that. But guys, I appreciate you checking out the video. If you have not subscribed to the channel yet, please hit that subscribe button, give the video a thumbs up, and until next time, keep crushing it.